Hey guys, we are back for Bandcamp Dailies number 27, I think it is. And we have a listen. It is I Put Playdoh in Your Pocket. And so let's go right here. We're going to go straight to the page very quickly. Actually, before we even start, I just have to say, heads up, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be available on Thursday and Friday. So I won't be able to record any potential Bandcamp Dailies, just so anyone knows. I'm not going to be here. I'm literally not going to be here. I'm going into the city, venturing into the city on a vacation, not a vacation. I have 2 more MRIs and they're after midnight. So I'm just getting a hotel and then I'm just going to walk to the MRI place. And so that's what I'm doing. Thursday and Friday. Okay. And also another thing, so it's going to be kind of interesting because I live out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm never in the city. And this isn't even the nearby city. This is in Mississauga, which is quite a big city, actually. I think it's the second biggest city in Ontario. Toronto's the biggest, obviously. Mississauga is very close to Toronto. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I don't really have... Living in a city offers certain benefits. One of the things I was talking to my dad about, actually... we ended up going to an Indian restaurant recently, and these are things you can't do when you live out in the middle of nowhere. So that's one of the perks of living in a city. And so I don't eat out ever, and so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing once I'm at the hotel. So I'm gonna have I think 2 days worth of eating out. However, I'm probably just going to end up going to the mall. There's a very big mall right across the street from the hotel, and there's like 100 restaurants in it. I looked at the listing. It's just ridiculous. The dining directory online. And it's like, which one am I going to pick? I'll probably just end up going to apparently A&W is selling teen burgers on sale. So I'll probably just get a cheap teen burger. I also have a craving I've got a craving for so many different things. But, one thing I did notice, there's a Chipotle in the mall. I've never been to Chipotle. And I've literally only been to Taco Bell once in my entire life. Now, I don't know why that is. Because that's Mexican food, right? It's like tacos and burritos and all that sort of stuff. With Chipotle as well. I like that stuff. And I don't know why I think part of the reason, one of the popular things that they put on Mexican food and stuff is sour cream. I hate sour cream. Also, avocado, what is that? Guacamole. I hate guacamole. So maybe that's the reason why I've been hesitant to go to a Mexican restaurant. But, I'd like to try a chicken quesadilla. I would like to try that because I would definitely like that, assuming it doesn't have any sour cream on it. So I would have to pick and choose my toppings. But that's one of the options. I'd like to go to one of those places, to Chipotle. I've heard things about Chipotle. I know I watched the Tuesdays with Stories podcast with Joe List and Mark Norman, and they go to Chipotle all the time. So maybe I'll just copy them and I'll go to Chipotle as well. Anyway, so Thursday and Friday, I will not be in the office. So, okay, so I have a whole thing about a big text file under my ugly face. And so I've done the first 2 bullet points. All right, so yeah, we're going to talk about the song. So someone listened to I Put Playdoh in Your Pocket. By the way, I did not come up with this name. Dave came up with this name. So this album, and not this album, these 3 songs actually were originally written for Cora Canning, the band I'm in with Dave. But he didn't end up learning the songs because he's lazy. And so I worked really hard on these songs. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just record them myself and release them on my own. So that's what I did. I actually released them twice. I also re-recorded these songs and released them on Repressed Memory Games, I think. Is that what I said? Yes, Repressed Memory Games. Yeah, so these songs were originally written for Cora Canning. The band Dave and I are in. We never ended up playing these songs, so I recorded them myself and released them under Time of Death. Then I eventually re-recorded these songs and put them on my Repressed Memory Games album. I think that was from 2016, Repressed Memory Games. The original recordings of these songs had a horrible drum sound, so I tried to salvage those recordings by remixing them. Yeah, so, okay, that's another thing. The original recording of these songs on this album was absolutely horrible. The drums sounded extremely bad. This was before the days where I was using one of those mixers where it would export individual wave files for each microphone input. So I was using my old mixer where it would only export one wave file for all of the mics combined together, which was really bad. So it's really hard to remix stuff after the fact. So if you record it badly, it's going to sound bad. But I tried my best to remix it after a little bit. I forget when I uploaded this. Because, these songs were originally released on Myspace. I had a Myspace page. I think I still have it, but, I went there recently, and I don't think any of the songs are available anymore. Myspace sort of really shit the bed around, I don't remember what year, but they did their page redesign, and then when they were doing that, a whole bunch of music got deleted accidentally. And so there's really... I haven't really gone back there since, but I have checked. My page still exists, the Time of Death page on MySpace. But yeah, these songs were originally released on MySpace, so it wasn't like an album, and so that's why it didn't have any artwork. So that's why it looks like if you ignore this text here, the Time of Death logo, this was just sort of like a stock album art that I added for a bunch of my albums that never had any album art. This logo I drew when I was probably in like 1999 or something, or 2000, a long time ago. And then the colors were inverted. It was I drew it with pen. Okay, so what else do we have to say? Yeah, so Dave came up with the name of this. I put Playdoh in your pocket because he came up with the name of this too, The Family Grow Up. I think I came up with this one. Yeah, Psychopath or Easy Street. Because Psychopath, it has the word path in it. And then, so I'm like, okay, the Psychopath or the Easy Street, something like that. But we're not talking about this. We're talking about I Put Playdoh in Your Pocket. I don't know what the song title means. Dave came up with it. You're going to have to ask Dave. Okay, so what else? What else do I have here? Okay, experimental math rock. Yeah, this is math. This was back in my math rock phase. So 2006 or 2007, I sort of changed musical identities or something like that. I started getting into this band called Hella, who was a math rock band. And they sort of changed my life. And so I was getting annoyed with metal music. And I needed to expand my drumming capabilities, my drumming abilities. So I started getting into this, into math rock. And so this is in the style of math rock. These songs were written in 2010, by the way. And so these are in like a math rock style. A band that's very similar to this, that I sort of modeled these songs after, that I was inspired by, is the band called Wit, W-I-T-T. Now, for some reason, they had, I think, 2 albums on Bandcamp. Their Bandcamp page doesn't exist anymore. I don't know why, but there is a guy named Jesse Kranzler. He was one of the guitarists. There are some live videos of the band on his YouTube page that still exist. I listen to them like a couple, at least once a year. But their song "Happy Birthday" and "See Attached" are very similar in style to the style I was going for here. And so another thing, it's math rock. And I mentioned that I re-released, I didn't just re-release, I re-recorded these songs for Repressed Memory Games. And when I did that, the songs, I made them more metal. So with the guitar tone and with the drumming as well, it was more aggressive. Whereas with these songs here, they're more in the Mathrock style, and there's a bigger dynamic range. So there's quiet parts and louder parts. So it does have its own distinct sound compared with the re-recorded version on Repressed Memory Games. Okay, so what's next? Originally released on Myspace, originally written for Cora Cannon. Yes. Oh yeah. So I wrote most of these songs. Dave wrote like what did he do? Wrote a 1-minute guitar section. Yeah. Okay, so Dave wrote something on this, but I wrote most of these songs. Most of the riffs. What am I trying to say here? Okay, so I wrote them for Cora Cannon. Dave and I were going to play them and record them, and he was coming over for a visit. Now, I don't remember if it was because we had a show coming up or if we were just doing music. We were going to record some music. I don't really remember. But I sent him the songs. He was going to learn them, and he was going to come over, and we were going to record them. And so he came over, and he didn't even learn them. He didn't bother learning them. He hates doing this stuff on his own. He hates like memorizing and learning songs on his own. And so he didn't do it. He was, in his mind, he was going to like just do it here. But these songs are like really complicated. And there's a lot of memorization. And so it was just, we didn't end up doing it. I remember being extremely disappointed. I feel like it was a show. I don't know if it was these songs for a show, but that happened again later on where he was supposed to learn a song for a literal show we were going to play. We were going to add it to our set list. And he came over and he didn't learn it. He had a real problem with that. It was really annoying. But yeah, so I ended up releasing these on my own. We had a show, blah, 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 blah. I didn't have much preparation time for this. I only had like an hour of prep time. So that's why this is not a very good commentary. That is the only reason. Not because I'm a horrible commentator. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so going back to the song, I mentioned that they're very, very complicated. And so this was like, I went all out for specifically this song and for part of this song. This song is shorter. It's only 4 minutes. But specifically the first song, it's almost 8 minutes long. The riffs change constantly. There's a shitload of riffs in them. And it required a lot of memorization. And so I was really pushing myself. Oh, my God. Oh, it's just endless, this itchy nose business. It's just going to keep getting worse. What was I saying? I don't even remember what I was saying. I was really pushing myself to try and make these like really complicated song structures. And I managed to do it. And so before this, so at 2010, right? So 2008 was when I really started pushing myself even further on the classic fountain pen. So that had quite an elaborate song structure and required a bunch of memorization. And then the year after was Lemonade Breath, which also featured a lot of memorization for that song. And then 2010, I released like a short EP that had short songs on it. And then I wrote these songs. So I was really, really pushing myself on these songs. And I ended up recording this song specifically in all the instruments. So there's drums and then 2 guitars. I recorded all of them in one full take. So I didn't use any overdubs and any punch-ins. I just pressed record, recorded the song, pressed stop. It probably took multiple attempts, but I recorded in a full take. So that was another stepping stone along with the complexity of the song. So I was really trying to push myself, and it worked out well. It's unfortunate though that the recording quality of the drums was so bad. So bad. All right, so what's next? Okay, I think I got through everything. I think that's it. Okay, not bad. So we're going to listen to the song. We're going to listen to it in full, and I'm going to eat some popcorn. So whoever listened, they must have known that I've been craving some popcorn. I've been having a craving for popcorn, and tonight we're going to satisfy that craving with some popcorn, and we're just going to listen to the full song. Probably no breaks. I don't think there's going to be any breaks. I might break. I might press pause and I might say something. I don't know. But until we do that, I have to make some popcorn. And we are back. I've got my popcorn. I didn't make very much this time because it's only 7 and something minutes. I sort of pigged out last video because we had to listen to almost an entire album's worth of music. But anyways, this is going to be I Put Playdoh in Your Pocket, the opener from the Playdoh EP from 2011. And please don't mind the horrible recording quality. I guess you should have heard it when, like, this is the remixed version. The original version was even worse. So let's listen to it. So, did you memorize that? We're how many seconds are we in? We're 38 seconds in, and how many riffs have you heard so far? This is just like non-stop changing. Okay, and so now it actually goes back into the very first riff. So you could sort of consider from the start of the song until now, that's like the first part of the song, I guess. And then now it replays the very first riff of the song. Okay, so I mentioned apparently I'm stopping the song a lot to say something. So I mentioned that what did I mention? I mentioned that each instrument was recorded in a full take. And so, and I also mentioned how the songs had a big dynamic range. And so you may have noticed that, the drums get louder and softer. And then the guitars also, they get louder and softer. But not only that, but they also get more distorted and then clean. And so that is just, I'm only using one guitar tone, and I'm controlling the amount of distortion, just with how hard I'm picking with my picking hand. So when there's a lot of distortion, I'm picking very hard. And then when it's very clean, I'm not picking very hard at all. I'm picking very softly. And so that was all done just with my picking hand. I wasn't changing the volume, my volume knob or anything. I wasn't clicking a different tone on my pedal. It was all, I don't even think I used a pedal for this song. No, it was just out of my amp. So all the dynamics on the guitar were done with my picking hand. That was a double bass. I played some double bass there on drums. Okay, so this part coming up is the sloppiest on the guitars. I didn't nail it. This was a tricky part to play. The timing and the tempos keep changing, and it's on the fingerings were tricky, and so I did not play it perfectly. Yeah, that did not sound very good. Also, that part was very sloppy as well. Upcoming blast beat. I forgot there was a blast beat in the song. I believe I forgot to mention this in a previous video. I think it was the last video I did, the previous Bandcamp Dailies. Basically, I said it. Basically, what was it? Basically, every single song that I've ever written, or if it's improvised, has a blast beat in it. Because that's why I play drums. Because I wanted to learn how to play blast beats. I wanted to put blast beats in my music. And so that is a staple of all my songs. However, there are a few songs, a very small amount of songs of mine that have no blast beats at all. This was almost one of them, but it's not, because it does feature a blast beat. But in the previous Bandcamp Dailies, there was a song that did not have a blast beat. And I was supposed to mention it, but I didn't. I forgot. Like I like the change in dynamics right here, because you have the distorted power chords and the drums are playing the toms at the same time, and then combined, juxtaposed, if you will, with the soft, clean guitar, and that was all just done with my picking hand. Did you see that? The popcorn just flew out of my hand. It's quite possible you didn't see it. I don't know. And there you have it. I put Playdoh in your pocket from the year 2011. All right, so I think that's going to be it for the video. Once again, just a reminder, I'm not going to be here on Friday and Thursday and Friday. I'll be coming home on Saturday. So, blonde or brunette? Or blonde, or what's a black-haired girl called? Why don't I know that? I know there's blondes, there's brunettes, redheads. What's a black-haired girl called? Am I stupid? I don't know. I think I'm going blonde.